Maybe due to fatigue, Cruzeiro played one of its least creative games under Arthur Jorge against Chapecoense in the first leg of the Copa do Brasil round of 16. The team didn't even create enough to score a goal in the match. Although Kaique Kendi did score, the goal was disallowed. Still, the team had one of its worst performances going forward. Maybe it was even because of fatigue, which was mentioned by Romero when leaving the field and also by Arthur Jorge in the press conference. Cruzeiro, in this short stretch of games with 2 matches in the Brasileirão and 2 matches in the Copa do Brasil, will play 4 games in 10 days, which is a very short time for rest, right? Cruzeiro hasn't had training time since the Curitiba game and likely won't before facing Chapecoense in the second leg. They might manage a better session on Tuesday before Wednesday's match, but it's not much. Preparation and recovery time as well, something that was seen on the field today and mentioned by coach Arthur Jorge himself. Arthur Jorge, who today made 2 changes, actually 3 changes, to the starting lineup. One of them was just the return of Fagner, who was suspended against Curitiba. But the coach also gave Gabriel Rojas a rest, who played Cruzeiro's first 3 matches. He was a mid-season signing. He played the first 3 games after the World Cup break. He rested, came on late in the match, but he did get some rest, and he deserved it. Vitor Villalba came on in his place, a centre-back who played as a full-back. At the start of the match, I even thought Cruzeiro might play with 3 centre-backs. If someone played wing-back, it wasn't the case. Vitor Villalba actually played left-back. That's something he's already done, even this season, with Arthur Jorge giving him a chance in a position where the Argentine player can be used again for the rest of the season. Further up on the left wing, Cruzeiro started today with Kaique Kendi, who was later replaced by Felipe Moraes. A change from what was done against Curitiba, when Felipe Moraes was the starter, and Kaique Kendi was the substitute who came on in the second half. But today, as I said, Cruzeiro played a very uncreative game. In the XG statistics, Cruzeiro had only 0.65, the 4th worst performance with Arthur Jorge in charge of Cruzeiro. And it's only the 5th time that the team created less than 1 XG, created chances to score less than 1 goal, and Chapecoense is also worth highlighting. Since the beginning of Rafael Lacerda's work, since the return from the World Cup break. Also, in the 3 matches they've played, the opponent has created enough chances to score more than 1 goal, and all the opponents up to now had scored goals, even more than 1, right? Santos scored 2, Bahia scored 2, and Flamengo scored 4 goals against Chapecoense. Cruzeiro showed little of its creativity today, and 2 factors were decisive for this lack of creativity from Cruzeiro today. The first one is Matheus Pereira, who maybe because of fatigue or because of Chapecoense's tactics, ended up being a bit boxed in and was a player who participated little in the game. Yeah, he had a quiet game, not just in terms of being involved in goals, since there were no goals in the match, of course. But Matheus Pereira had very little involvement, only 38 actions with the ball, the same number as the goalkeeper Otavio, who also had just 38 involvements in the game. And something else that stands out is that the 2 forwards, Arroyo and Caio Jorge, had even fewer involvements in the match than the striker. Among the 3, Arroyo was the one who tried to get involved in the game the most. On the wing, he did what was possible in his area there. Well supported by Fagner. Fagner also had a good match as a fullback, but Cruzeiro faced a lot of difficulties in today's game. And another factor that stands out, Cruzeiro made 35 crosses in the game against Chapecoense, the highest number of crosses in a single match. Since Arthur Jorge arrived at Toca da Raposa, this also shows a lack of creativity in the club, in the team, to be able to break into the box and create a better worked move. And crosses are not really Cruzeiro's specialty. We talk a lot about the team's weakness in the air. With the game focused on this type of play, Cruzeiro didn't do very well today at Arena Conda. They couldn't do much away from home. On the other hand, Chapecoense basically relied on 2 plays, right? On counterattacks. On shots from outside the box. In these shots from outside the box, the team showed a better pattern, often with Bola Bolasie acting as a target man, looking for someone at the edge of the box to shoot hard and fast, taking advantage of the recovery time, of the team, making use of this quick transition. That happened more in the first half than the second. In the second half, Chapecoense had only 1 big chance, Giovanni Augusto. Yeah, I praised Fagner, but Fagner ended up making a bad pass in the attack. In the second half, it ended up leading to a counter-attack for Chapecoense, which ended with Giovanni Augusto trying to chip Otavio, but he couldn't score the goal. He missed, Chapecoense stayed at 0. Cruzeiro had the best chances, especially 2 of them, right? One was Kaique Kendi's goal, but he was offside, a bit of a strange offside there. It wasn't a game with semi-automated offside technology. The lines were drawn, the lines were very close, but let's trust the technology, right? Since the goal was disallowed, but by millimeters, Kaique Kendi's foot was ahead of the Chapecoense defender, goal disallowed. In the second half, Cruzeiro's best chance came from a play similar to what happened in the goal against Coritiba, but this time with Felipe Moraes. Previously, Kaique Kendi was involved. This time, Bruno Rodriguez made strong plays on the left and passed to Felipe Moraes, who crossed well to Arroyo in the 6-yard box. Arroyo shot straight at goalkeeper Anderson, who saved and stood out in the match. Goalkeeper Anderson, a former Cruzeiro player, secured that point, right? This draw to take Chapecoense to Mineiro. After the game, Arthur Jorge admitted both things I mentioned here. He admitted that fatigue might have affected the team, right? We're going to play 4 matches in 10 days. That's 3 matches in 7 days, including, counting from the Coritiba match up to the return match against Chapecoense. But he also admitted that in the match, Cruzeiro played with little creativity and didn't have many big chances. He also mentioned that Cruzeiro, even though they didn't create much, still created more than their opponent. But that's not a big deal. Come on, Cruzeiro already has a much better squad, much better coaching. Also, Rafael Lacerda is only in his 4th game in charge of Chapecoense, while Arthur Jorge has had more time in charge of Cruzeiro. Cruzeiro played a little better, but nothing beyond what was expected, maybe because of fatigue. And that's also a concern for the second leg because there won't be time to rest for the return match. So much so that it will be just as tiring a game for Cruzeiro, but this time at home. Some players might be a little more rested, like Gabriel Rojas, who was rested today. And also Mateus Pereira, who left in the middle of the second half, right? In the middle of the second half, he was substituted with Bruno Rodriguez coming on, and he put in another decent match, trying to get back to his best form. To find out the details of this match, right, Mixed Zone, press conference, match report, and also to give your opinion, you can visit our website lance.com and also follow everything here on Lance's YouTube channel. Take care.